let's start with our warm-up. One heel in and then the other. I always recommend before these classes to do the breathing exercise, to do the breathing rhythms, the 5 or 6 minute breathing rhythm that's in the breathing section of the program. This chat just improves all the distribution of energy all the way through the body, makes you feel good and gets everything circulating. So I'm going to assume that you've stopped the video and you've done your 5 minutes of breathing, and now we are going to sit down and we are going to start our stretching. So I want you to think today into every part of the body. So even though on our inhales and our exhales, we are moving our arms. Inhale. Exhale. I'd like you to also keep breathing, keep moving, but think about your sit bones. Are you right on the top of your sit bones? Keep breathing. Are you pushed forward? I have a tendency to push forward if I'm not thinking. Or are you back? Try and stay all the way upright with your waist extending out from your hips, your ribs stretching from your waist, and exhale. And then arms all the way up and out to the side. And we are going to stretch out. It's my right, it's your left. So stretch out to the left. And to the other side. So mindfulness in movement is not only trying to get the poses straight, correct. It's the movements between the poses. So we're going to do a lot of transitions. I'm also going to assume that you did our first practice because we are going to build from there. So let's come to our cat and cow poses and start to move the spine. Hump the back on the inhale. Navel down, bottom and head up on the exhale. Keep moving up and down. Up and down. Wiggle from side to side and connect the movement to the breath. Good. And let's start to stretch our hands out and move into downward facing dog. So from here, this may not be your best downward dog of the day. And remember, I often see this at the beginning. So if this is your downward dog, you need to increase your core strength and your strength in your legs. But we're going to bend our knees, press our belly into the thighs and lift. I want you to feel your shoulders lift right up out of the arm bone and your hips lift up towards the sky. Your belly press deep into the thighs, and then on your inhale move to plank. And on your exhale come back to downward dog. 2 more planks to downward dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Look between the hands and walk all the way to the top of your space and bending the knees as you fold down. Now, if you are super flexible, you can have the legs straight, but that's not what this is about. This is more about getting the posture, stretching the correct parts of the body. So if you're like this, you will find that you're going to get a dull sensation eventually here. So why don't we bend our knees and get as much length through the lower back as we can. Good. Now coming all the way up to standing. Inhale. And hands to prayer. Exhale. Remember, at the beginning of each practice, I invite you to set your intentions. Now that you're getting to know your practice, set your intentions for what you are trying to work on. Maybe it's improving those back bends from last class. Maybe it's opening up your hips, whatever it is, improving your balance. Now set the next level of intention, what you are working on in your day-to-day life. In removing anxiety about a specific thing. Finally, remind yourself of your wildest dreams that you'd love to achieve. Whatever it is, your imagination is your limit. And we'll sing one Om together. Don't forget your salutes to the sun. Arms up on the inhale. Palms down on your exhale. Right leg back, left leg back into high plank on the inhale. And pushing down on your exhale. Cobra on the inhale. Downward facing dog as you exhale. 1, 2, 3. Now, right foot forward, then left foot. Exhale. Come all the way up to standing. Inhale. Hands to prayer. Exhale. Arms up on the inhale. Hands down as you exhale. Left leg, then right leg. Inhale. And pushing down. Exhale. Cobra on the inhalation. And downward dog as you exhale. Keep breathing slowly, stretching. Close your eyes. Pull your belly in at the end of every exhalation. Are you ready to do your jump backs? Arms up on the inhale. Hands down as you exhale. Now you can walk or jump back firmly into plank. Exhale, pushing down. Now let's start to work towards an upward dog. So this was our cobra, but our upward dog basics is just on our knees. And we're going to start to scoop the tailbone. I'm going to challenge you to start to strengthen this area. Very important area of your body is the hip flexors, and this is going to keep our body stable and strong, and so that you don't get a sore lower back. So stay here a few moments. 3 breaths. 2 and 1. Now coming into curvy cat, just in case there was a bit of a strong back bend, and exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. 1, 2, 3. Now look between the hands and jump forward, bottom in the air. Exhale, head down. Arms all the way up. Inhale. Hands to prayer. Exhale. Again, inhale, palms up. Exhale, palms down. Jump back to plank. Observe that your plank doesn't look like this or like this. Round the upper back. Scoop the tailbone. Engage the legs. Push all the way down. Remember, coming flat. Now you can come to your upward dog on your knees, or our next stage of upward dog is to curl the toes under, stretch and strengthen the legs. Tailbone down, shoulders away from the ears. Just rock forward and back, rock forward and back. If this is dull on your back, still stay here until the back is strong enough to do the pose. And then exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. 1 and 2 and 3. Now let's do our first mindfulness exercise. We are going to visualize ourselves walking or jumping our feet to land in between the toes, land in between the thumbs. Our knees land only slightly bent and our bottoms in the air. So it's going to look like this. It's not going to look like this, which I see a lot. And or like that. We're going to try and land with our toes in between the thumbs, knees slightly bent, bottom in the air. Good. And exhale, head down. Stay here a few moments. And then coming all the way up to standing. Inhale. Hands to prayer. Exhale. Close the eyes. Now last practice we did a vinyasa, and we are going to add it on here. I'm going to assume you did that practice. And we are moving on. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, palms down. Let's bring our right leg back and come into our high lunge. Good. Sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. We're going to keep our hips square and bring our right hand down and twist towards the left. Keep the left hip down too. Good. Now from here, warrior 2. Hand my back to you. Do you see what I'm doing? Eventually you're going to get the hang of the whole practice. Left leg bend and reverse the warrior. Slide the arm behind the leg. And then come to side angle pose. Elbow over the knee. Slide the arm over the head. Good. Now what we are working on mindfully today are the graceful transitions between the poses. Here's a warrior 2. Luckily, the movements between the poses are quite simple. To straighten the legs, we're going to work on some challenging ones later in the class. Bring the back of the hand down on the inside edge of the calf into triangle pose. And open up. Remember that idea of being flat to your wall that we did in program 1? Take 1 more breath in. And then exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, warrior 1. down on either side of the foot and come to downward facing dog. Good. Now let's bring our right foot forward. Good, coming into our high lunge. Sinking the hips down. Now left hand is going to come down on the inside edge of the foot and twist yourself all the way open. Good. Warrior two. Now, the challenge is the mindful and graceful transition between the poses. Good. Reverse the warrior. Another act of mindfulness is not having to stretch the leg out. Keep your knee bent. I know it's challenging, but think about the positive consequences for keeping the leg bent the whole time. Strength in body is 100% equal to strength in mind. 3 more breaths only. You can do it, even if you're shaking. 2 and 1. Good. Let's straighten the leg out and come to a very well-deserved triangle pose. 5 breaths. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, warrior 2, exhale. Warrior 1, inhale. How did you go? Hands down on either side of the foot, come back to downward facing dog. Let's roll to plank on the inhale and push down. Now you can either hold an inch off the ground or lower all the way. Then you can work on your versions of cobra or upward dog. Cobra, lift your ribs. Cobra 2, lift the torso. Upward dog 1, on the quadriceps above the knees. Upward dog 2, on the balls of the feet. Upward dog 3, the full upward dog on the tops of our feet. So the only thing on the ground are your hands and your feet. And then exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. 1 and 2 and 3. Now that mindful jump forward. Glue your legs together this time, ankles connecting and knees, and jump forward, bottom in the air. Inhale, exhale, head down. Inhale. So one of the best mindfulness exercises you can give any student, whether children or adults, is balance. You need to be so focused on the balance at that present moment in order to be able to balance. And at the beginning it is hard, and then it gets easy. One thing that I think children think about when they're doing balance is, oh my God, I'm bad at balance. That you're in that moment. What you've got to be thinking about, so my left leg is not as stable as my right. I have to think, big toe down. I've got too much weight on my outside edge of my foot. Press into the inside edge of the foot. Find my point of focus. We can do it. We can stay a little longer. You've got to be in that moment. You can't be in the, oh, I've fallen. Anyway, if you fall, it's fine. Get back up again. So from here, we're going to try eagle first. I'll get a little closer. I'm going to stand on my right foot. And I am going to wrap my left leg around. If you can get the foot around the calf, make sure you do. And sit into the posture. So my right leg is down, so I'm going to bring my right arm up and my left arm all the way. And I'm going to keep sitting, lifting my elbows, finding my spot. There is a lot going on here. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, oh, I can't do it? Or are you thinking about, okay, I've got to sit down deeper. I've got to find my spot beyond my arms. And I have to think into my big toe, which is pressing on the ground. Now we are going to gracefully rewind. Does your dismount from the pose look like this? And then like this. And then finally like this. This is what I want you to think about. Every movement and all the movements between the movements. Let's try our left side. Think into the ball of the foot. Think into those areas of the body that are unstable. And just go slowly and mindfully. So my left leg is on the ground, so my left arm is going to come up. And my right arm is going to come around. I'm going to sit down in the pose and lift the elbows up. Good. And then unravel neatly and mindfully. The next one is quite a fun one, and we're going to learn about counterbalance. It's called aeroplane, and this is where we learn if you've got the same amount of energy forward as energy back, the balance will take care of itself. So let's have a look at how we're going to go. I'm going to start on my left leg. I'm going to bring my hands to prayer at the chest. Got my thumb into my sternum. It's going to help me keep my sternum up while my belly goes down. Point my right toe back. Now I'm going to access from the hip. Did you see that my belly is going down, but in fact, I'm doing a mini cobra with the chest. For me, that's key to my balance. Okay, from here, I found that point in front of me to stare at. My chest is up, my leg can lift, my arms are back. And I'm going to stay. Because that also adds to mindfulness, endurance. And then coming up. And I want you to know the first time anybody does that pose normally, they don't do it so well. Ballet dancers do it well, but they have been trained to do things like this a lot. So if you've got a ballet situation, you can work deeper into the practice. Otherwise, if this is new to you, please don't get frustrated. It gets easier and better, and I promise more pleasurable. So I'm going to keep my thumb to the chest. But already, if you are concentrated and focused, even if it's your first time, you may start to see that there is a point of effortlessness where the energy through the front of the body has perfectly balanced the energy through the back. 3 breaths. And 2. And 1. Now come down slowly if you can. And relax. Well done. Okay. From here, let's just do a couple of seated forward bends, and we're going to move into a little bit more, we're going to work into some of my favorite parts of the practice, being upside down. So while we are stretching out, this is Upavishta Konasana straddle pose. And it's a pose I'm just going to use. We don't have to work on it too deeply. It's a wonderful stretch, but I'm actually just using it today for us to move from one section to another and stretch out. The reason why I love being upside down and I love teaching children to be upside down is for all the therapeutic benefits of inversions, of handstands and forearm balances and shoulder stands. And what it does for your brain, your mind, and your body awareness, it's probably one of the best things you can do for your health, for your physical and mental health. And the more you're upside down, the more you're going to understand why. Okay, so we're going to stretch forward. 3 more breaths. And 2. And 1. Now, before we go upside down, we're going to get a little bit of awareness about our core strength. Okay, so this is the pose that teaches us everything about core strength, and it's called dish. Now, what am I doing in the dish? At the beginning, the most important thing is that my lower back is on the ground. So this could be easy version A. Okay, because this is not very easy if you've got a weak core. What I am focusing on the most here is gluing my lower back into the ground. If you've got a lower back lifted off the ground, coming to this version today is all you need to do. Number 2, stretching the leg out. Now, what I've done here, my leg has to be very, very engaged in order to stretch and strengthen it out. Maybe both legs out. And I'm glued to the ground. Now you can keep your elbows to the ground, or you can bring your arms here. Or you can bring your arms here. The trick about core strength is contracting your hips to your ribs, okay? If your hips are away from your ribs and there's a big gap in the lower back from the ground, that means your core is not engaged. So you've got to do what you need. If it's something like this, you could try this option for the beginning. I think when I was a teenager, I am under the impression my core was not very strong. I wish I had been given these tools. So I'm going to glue the spine in. I am going to contract my hips to my ribs. This might be all I do today, or I might come out. And take 5 breaths. And believe me, whoa, that was very, very strong. So hug your knees into the chest. So I want you to understand that feeling of the hips moving into the ribs. If you do that, your core is always engaged. And the best thing about that, you don't have to do too many sit-ups. So here are our upside down options. Spider-Man handstand. I'm not sure if you're going to see what I'm doing. So you're going to be at a 90-degree angle to the wall. 90-degree angle, like this. So if you are not using your core, your posture is going to look like this. It's going to be very painful. If you are using your core after your dish shape, you're going to be lifting your hips out of your waist out of your ribs, and ribs right out of the armpits. And then see if you can lift one leg in the air. Try not to collapse. Do it with control. And then down. And then the other side. And then down. Good. And then walk the legs down. Okay. So some of you might even want to try a handstand. Some of you might know exactly what you're doing in terms of handstands. You could be bringing your hands down and kicking up with one leg to the wall. And I always advise if you've got a strong leg, always try with your other leg as well. Getting my left leg up took years after getting my right leg. If you are too scared against the wall, I want you to try this. Hands down, and just kick up and down. Kick up and down. One little trick is you need to start to get very strong around the nape of the neck. As you start to engage the nape of your neck and your shoulders, you will be able to control the handstand more and more. Play around. You've got about a minute or so just to have some fun. Start to get that idea of kicking up. Now, I don't mind if your first kick up or your first week of kick ups look like this. Now, I want to see you trying, because you know, every time you practice, you get better. Okay, so just having a little bit more go. Enjoying being upside down and all the benefits through the body, the mind, and the heart. And then we're going to release our neck and our shoulders by doing a pose called the rabbit. So crown of the head down on the ground, and then arms over the head. So this is not only a great pose if you've done lots of handstands, it's a wonderful pose if you're doing a lot of assignments on the computer and your neck and your shoulders are getting very, very, very strained. To be honest, I'm going to give you one extra pose that is great for if you're on a computer a lot. And that is lying over something quite strong. So if you're going to be in front of a computer for a long time during the day, spend about 5 minutes with your heart and your chest opening all the way up here, like this. Okay, now we are going to, for the final challenges, we are going to add all the elements that we've done today. We've done our mindfulness and focus on balance, our aeroplane, and our handstands. Now, how are we going to combine it all? So we're going to do our aeroplane pose. Left leg forward, hands to prayer. I'm going to come into my aeroplane. Bring the arms back and hold. 3 breaths. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to bring my hands to the ground. Now you can either just practice kicking up, or you can try your handstand. It's totally up to you, where you are in your practice. And then rewind. Well done. Can I leave you to try that on both sides? My right leg. Had an injury in my right leg this year, so I'm going to go very slowly. It's getting better. Each time I practice, I'm getting stronger. Good. Almost wonderful. Okay, how did you go? So having a little rest. See, let's bring our legs together in front. Bend the knees and fold forward. And I'd like to add the pose that we worked on last week, the bridge pose. So, because we're building up practice with each element. By the end, you'll be doing a full practice, which includes all the poses we break down in each class. So let's lift our hips and interlace your fingers. Did you practice this week? Sometimes back bends can get very, very addictive. Okay, did you bring your hands under your shoulders and come up onto the crown of the head? Did you stay there for a moment? And then, did you push all the way up into back bend number 1? Did you stay 5 breaths? Can you stay 5 breaths? 3 more breaths. And 2. And 1. Now crown of the head down. And lift again. 1. 2. Now that's not easy. 3. You can come all the way down and come up again. 4. 5. Now you might only be able to do 2, but if you can fit a third one in, I promise you that third one is going to be the best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now from here, lying down. So you're going to be in the lying sleeping butterfly. So your knees are out, your feet are together. Slow the breath down. 4 more breaths. And I'd like to end the practice the same way as we usually do, in shoulder stand. It's a calming pose. My practices are often very active. It's very, very important to balance your practice with energetic and strength work, with calming and de-stressing work. So this is a de-stress pose. Use this when you're anxious, can't sleep well, overwhelmed with things. Now, if you are not comfortable to approach shoulder stand like this, I want to break it down for you. There are all sorts of reasons why you may not come into shoulder stand. One of them is weak core strength, and this is going to be the solution. Feet to the wall, lift your hips. Now you can either stay there, or you can work your hips, legs away from the wall. So you can do that option. If you're doing the full shoulder stand, great. We're staying 5 more breaths there. And then work into plow. Now this is your full plow. Feet behind the head, hips over the shoulders, interlace your fingers. You can slightly bend the knees if you've got tight hamstrings. If you find this chokes you at all, once again go back to the wall, or if you're near a bed, pop your feet up on the bed or pop your feet into the wall. Okay, otherwise 3 breaths here. But this will also get easier the stronger you get at your yoga practice. Actually, you want to keep the passage around the throat very soft so that you can breathe. Bend your knees to either side of the ears. This is called Counterbalance, ear pressure pose or deaf man's pose. And bring your knees down. Good. Now from here, lengthening the legs and rolling all the way down. And we're just going to release the neck by being on our elbows, crown of the head down on the ground. And then just moving the knees from side to side. Amazing, guys. You've done so well. Lie down in Shavasana and relax.